So on Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024, we took a police report from one of the candidates running for mayor in the city of Titusville, and the police report was for theft of signs. Unfortunately, this time of year during the election cycle, it's very common to receive complaints from all kinds of candidates and their campaigns on ethical behavior in between. It just is the nature of the business. By and large, we don't get involved. Most of these complaints are handled through the Florida Division of Elections up in Tallahassee, and that's usually who we will forward that to. Any criminal violations, we take a report just like we would on any other theft, and we wait until we could get some type of leads on the case. In most cases, the signs are usually taken overnight when there's nobody around and there's no leads on it. It's a very difficult case to prove. In this case, roughly around 6-7 hours after we took that report, and a citizen came forward with a photograph, and that photograph was very compelling and certainly gave us a few leads to follow, and that's exactly what our investigators did. And in this case, it turned out that mayoral candidate Vicki Conklin apparently was out in front of the signs, and this independent person said, yeah, she was destroying the signs. Actually, the picture not only had her name tag, but had a hammer in her hand. So, it's we have to do what we have to do. Unfortunately, this particular campaign has been a lot of he said, she says from one side to the other, and it's extremely troubling to us that our agency has been thrown into this mix, which is couldn't be further from what is accurate. I would certainly hope that folks who are on social media don't believe what they see. We've often said, call us directly. You want to get the facts, call us directly, and we will go over them. We document everything. We're transparent, and so the importance for us, and certainly me right now in my position, is to stick up for the integrity of the men and women of this agency. They do an amazing job. They go out and they do it day in and day out. And to be trashed in the social media and online day in and day out of doing unethical things, it just gets old. So, it is what it is. We forwarded this case. We actually worked with the supervisor of elections and as well as the state attorney's office, and we forwarded this case for their review, and it's in their hands now. So that's really the long and short of it. I will tell you that it is much more than just a theft. This is an ethical attack on our democracy and what it's supposed to be. And let's face it, one of our kind of methods of operation that we stand by. We don't do causes here in uniform. We don't have really opinions. What we do is we create a safe environment so folks can have their opinions and they can do what they want to do and have, whether it's pro-life, pro-choice. We don't, in uniform, with this patch and this badge, we make it a safe environment so folks can display and have their First Amendment rights heard. That's what it's about. We don't get involved in this, and the fact that we're being dragged in is just troubling to me, and I guess it's just par for the course. But with that said, any questions?
Is Vicki Conklin actually charged with anything at this point?
Well, that we took the charges and forwarded to the state attorney's office. We could have made a hands-on arrest. We chose not to. We thought in this case it was the right thing to do, is get another set of eyes on it. I believe our investigators did everything above board and by the book, but this case has been forwarded to the state attorney's office for their review.
So there's no charge as of yet?
Yeah, so we actually have the charges forwarded there, but without their approval, it wouldn't happen. So to this point, I'm not sure. I have not been informed whether charges have been filed yet or not.
Chief, how many signs is she suspected of destroying, and what did the signs say?
So in this case, candidate Andrew Connors had two signs. They were the larger signs. I don't have the dimensions. One of them was known as the Ivy League, which is Sheriff Wayne Ivy's endorsement picks, where that was one of the signs. And then the other sign was, I guess, like a hybrid, something that candidate Connors drew up, and it apparently was taken from the, I want to say the North Brevard Democratic endorsements, where it was endorsing candidate Vicki Conklin. So those were the two signs that were taken.
So she took a sign that was endorsing her, or am I mishearing?
Yeah, it was a sign endorsing her, yes. But apparently, from her standpoint, she didn't give permission for that to be used.
So did that sign endorsing Vicki Conklin, did it belong to Andrew Connors? Was that also a Connors sign?
Yes, so both signs were owned by Andrew Connors, or at least his campaign, and that's what it was. And you know, no matter what the reasons for taking it, when you take something that you know does not belong to you, in and of itself, that's theft. So,
Chief, have the signs been recovered? I mean, they were destroyed. Have they been recovered?
as to this moment, I have not heard of that, and I believe there were several attempts to try to find them to mitigate this, and none of them. I don't know if they're destroyed or not, but there have been no attempts to return them.
We haven't seen it yet, but what does the body worn camera video show?
So I actually have not viewed the body worn camera, so I don't know. I do know that there's conversations. It's not like detective work back when I was a real cop and did detecting, but everything now is done on body camera. So we don't have tape recorders, we don't have any of that. We just do it right on our body camera. So I'm sure the interviews of all witnesses and suspects are all on the body camera.
And then, sir, did you say Mr. Connors took the picture of her with the hammer, or is that someone else went up to her and was asking her, what are you doing with the hammer?
Yes, so there was an independent person that had been sign waving earlier that day at one of the early voting sites. And he realized he left a piece of his equipment that he did not want to have it lost. So around midnight, he went out there, and that's where he drove up and saw what was happening. He took the picture.
And so she did steal them late, like that midnight, 1 a.m.?
I'm not sure of what the time frame is. That's certainly when we're suspecting that anything happened. At the time that the report was taken by Andrew Connors, even Mr. Connors didn't know that this picture existed. So he was just reporting two signs missing. It was later that day that it was determined that this picture existed.
Another question, because it sounds like Connors is alleging that many more signs were taken over the course of the campaign. I think I read 300, something like that. Is Ms. Conklin also a suspect in that, or is that just a separate investigation at this point?
Completely separate investigation, and it's like I had said in the beginning, unfortunately, there's a lot of allegations from a lot of camps on stolen signs or moved signs and destroyed. Right now, we don't have any other leads on that particular one.
And then I just want to confirm, Ms. Conklin has not been booked into jail, so there will be no mugshot. correct? We think.
Yes, and again, these are questions that would probably be better suited to be answered by the state attorney's
Okay.
office.
Sorry about that.
We are not making, that's fine, we're not making any hands-on arrest. We have two options when we have probable cause for an arrest, is we can do hands-on if it's one of those crimes, or we could just forward the case to the state attorney's office for their review.
One other. In your experience, how long of a process does the state attorney take to determine what they want to do?
It could be anywhere from a couple days to a couple weeks. It all depends on the complexity of the case and how many loose ends, if there are any. So some of them are very basic and a very easy decision. Some of them are not.
Would they call you back and say, we need her arrested, or would they have their own people do that?
Usually it's either a summons is issued, or sometimes it's a warrant put in the system, and then, you know, that gets put in. It's all an array of different ways on this.
On the question of the signs, did it say anywhere on there who it was paid for or endorsed by? As a clear disclaimer on the sign itself of who owned it?
So one side says yes, the other side says no. Without the signs, kind of hard to tell.
And then can you go back to, you mentioned TPD is being smeared on social media. Can you dispel some of that chatter, or just try to clear things up?
And this isn't from Ms. Conklin herself. This is from a lot of her supporters that are online. But, you know, there's one rumor that there was a compromising picture of Mr. Connors, and we sent our officers outside the city limits to basically harass that person. And it wasn't that at all. There wasn't any picture. What happened was Mr. Connors was talking with somebody who, or online chatting, and the conversation got to where a third party was being threatened, and Mr. Connors didn't know what to do, so he called the police department here where he lives, and our agency just sent the sheriff's department out just to vet and making sure, but everything was fine. And that entire interaction was recorded. And again, we do so for safety of our officers, and it turns out, I mean, there's pages and pages of social media posts that we are misusing our authority by sending our people. We don't do that. We just don't do that. That's not who Titusville Police Department, that's not who we are. And again, I'm so proud of the job our men and women do day in and day out. And so there's a certain part of when you're in the public eye doing what we do that you have to have a thicker skin, and you have to be able to. But this particular year has been worse than, I've been doing this 32 years. And I've never seen it this ruthless and venomous out there in the social media. It's really, it's sad.
Sir, we have made contact with Vicki, and she has told a lot of us that this is the first time hearing of this. So I just want to ask you, is there a possibility she would not know anything, or you guys have been in touch with her? I'm just trying to get a better grasp on if she would at all know what's been happening.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken with her. I don't know if the state attorney's office has gotten with her on this. All I know is today, this morning, our phone started blowing up, and because of that, we like to just get out in front, so to put our citizens at ease as to what we're doing and why.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not like we have anything else with Ms. Conklin. And the other thing, we're not judge and jury. We just take facts, we forward them on to the prosecutor's office, and then beyond the prosecutor's office, there's a whole nother series where, you know, so all we do is report facts, and that's all we've done here. Again, if we didn't do that, we would be in malfeasance of our job. So. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.